Girl, you were with a rapper today who had 30. How many? How many? The average body count for a woman before she gets married, for a woman who doesn't cheat. How many
people do you think she slept with? Go ahead.
I would under 10.
Under 10, what do you think?
Yes.
Probably at 10.
10, what do you think?
13.
13, what do you think?
Like between 5 and 8.
Between 5 and 8. She doesn't cheat. What do you think?
I'm definitely going with the 10.
10?
I'm going to say 10 to 15.
10, what do you think?
7.
Okay. The average number of sexual partners for a woman who claims she does cheat or she has cheated, what do you think that number is?
Repeat the question.
The average number, so they surveyed
The
7,000 women. The women who admitted to have cheated, what is their average number of sexual partners? They did cheat. Not the women who didn't cheat, you said it was 10. The women who did cheat, what do you think it is? Do you think it's also 10? Do you think it's higher or lower? What do you think?
15 plus.
15. What do you think?
25.
25?
7.
7.
Probably like 20 to 30.
20?
Yeah,
All right.
30 to 40.
30 to 40. What do you think?
I say 15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay, so the average number of sexual partners for a woman who didn't cheat was 3.
That's it?
3.8, somewhere around that area. The average number of sexual partners for a woman who did cheat was 8.9, which means that the likelihood that the women who did cheat had 230% of the sexual partners of the women who didn't.
I'm f***ing terrible then. Holy
That's nasty.
Which means
it is nasty, right?
Which means, by the way, for men,
Make it nasty.
by the way, and for those guys who are going to come, the academics are going to come after me. Yes, does it affect men? It absolutely does. If men have more sexual partners, it does affect them. But you don't see the same disparity. Like you don't. And also the reason why
like the 4.5 percenters, like Jason Momoa,
yeah, the reason
Justin Waller, God knows who else.
The reason why male
Love you,
cheating
Justin.
statistics don't work is because men want to cheat and can't. Do you guys all you understand? So, like, for instance, there's this thing called the sociosexual group of men and women. Sociosexual are men who sleep with a lot of women, and sociosexual women would be women who sleep with a lot of men. Women who sleep with a lot of men sleep with them because they can. And they want to.
I think they want to.
Yes.
Primarily.
Because they want to. They sleep with a lot of women because they sleep with a lot of men because they want to. Men who sleep with a lot of women sleep with a lot of women because they can, and there's a group of men below them who wishes they could sleep with a lot of women, but they can't. This is why sociosexual, and I'm going to have this debate with them, sociosexual should not be the same thing for men and women because they're two completely different groups. And this is also why cheating numbers for men aren't really valid to me, because there's so many men who live and they're the assistant manager at a Chick-fil-A in Des Moines and have no possibility of cheating. Iowa. Okay?
Oh, God.
So that's the reason why I would say that
Not
these
to
numbers are
mention they
different.
haven't even had sex that year.
Yeah, exactly. And they may, by the way, this is another thing. People have this miscalibration. They start believing that because people are married, they're having sex. Often, men who are married are the ones not having any sex.
Crazy.
Okay? It is absolutely
That's
madness.
wild to me.
Okay?
I got stats for that too.
Go
It could
ahead.
never be me. That's wild.
I got stats for that, too.
Does every woman say that? Like that? I would never be that wife.
I would never be that way.
I would
Like,
not. I'm like with the trench coat. Like,
Right. So I hear those numbers and I look at all the
So
women.
if you
and
weren't
it's like-
attracted to them, you saying you'd leave? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm
you
saying,
don't want to
like-
have sex with them anymore. Though.
No, I'm.
At some point, something may happen. You don't want to have sex with
If you
them.
don't have sex with them,
This happens to women all the
If you're
time.
not having
Doesn't
sex
mean
with
I
him
don't
anymore.
want to have sex with him just because
So-
I don't want to have sex with him, if that makes sense.
So if you guys don't want to have sex with them because you don't want to have sex with them,
Close
would
the
you
light,
would you
turn the
leave?
lights up.
I would
No.
leave.
Would you leave? Well, raise your hand if you
I'm
would
not
leave. You
sticking
just don't
around.
want to have sex with them anymore. Who would
I'm not
leave?
sticking around.
You'd leave? And you would leave? Would you leave?
Oh, married?
I mean, how
You were
long?
married.
No.
How long is that going to last?
hell
I mean,
no.
like you could be
Married.
just
The rest of your
going
life,
through
you don't want to have sex. But he wants to have sex with you, but you don't want to have sex with him.
Yeah, if you're not attracted
that.
no
I
more
think you
sexually.
just do it anyways. Like,
You do it anyways? Anybody else? What do you say?
I would stay.
Who would leave?
not
Who would leave? Raise your hand. You would leave? You would leave.
Yeah.
And nobody else?
Can we try fun
Yeah.
stuff, like something different?
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah,
We try.
like,
Like,
exactly.
Bring 2 or 3 of his friends
Let's
over
go
for sure.
spice-
Oh, God.
Wow.
You mean her?
The answer is a lot of women would leave,
Yeah.
and 80% of divorces are initiated by
Women.
women. Okay,
Right.
gosh, you guys understand. That's the thing.
Right.
But
I
what
feel
are
like
the statistics with kids, though, with the divorce?
And
I don't know.
that's why they're
Is there a
leaving.
difference? There probably is because
There's gotta
those-
be.
I'm sure they at least
so here's
wait
the
till
thing.
they're
I would believe that it would, because as you get further along in a marriage, the likelihood of divorce actually increases. I think up to a certain point.
Probably.
But younger on in the marriage, you're less likely to have kids. So I'll bet those two stats might cancel each other out. I don't know. That's a good question though. That's definitely a really awesome
good. I gotta
question.
keep
I
that
think you
one
should
down.
just get to reevaluate your marriage after.
I love the idea of like a
Yeah.
marriage license is like a driver's license.
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
The problem is, ladies,
Don't get actual
women would opt out of
No.
marriage in outrageous numbers if we
You
did.
don't have to get really actually married. You can just get your friend to be the freaking pastor and do the freaking whole wedding. And
No, but
If you get some marriage license, it's not really.
it's called
accurate
common
anyways,
law.
right?
You're already common law after 6
Yeah, there's no
months.
common
That's
law
not in every
Nevada.
state. That's not in
Nevada.
every
There's no
state.
common law.
No.
To back up what you said, this is from Rolf Dengen. Sex is concentrated within a small yet sexually active group of people. While the number of young men who reported having no sexual experience is increasing, there are also men who have more sex partners than ever before. In 2002, the most sexually active top 20% of American heterosexual men had 12 lifetime sex partners, while the top 5% had 38.
Jesus.
10 years later, the most sexually active top 20.
Hold on, time out. That's 2002.
That's
Who here?
true.
You live here in Las Vegas. How many of you know a dude who's been with 38 girls? Raise your hand.
Oh, 100%.
Raise your hand. Don't all of you. What are you doing, girl? You were with a rapper today who had 30. How many? How many of you know one
Like, wait a
dude?
minute.
Hold on.
It's still early in the night.
How many of you guys know more than 5 guys you know that have been with more than 38 women? Raise your hand if you know more than 5. You would go to you work at a Fit Club LV.
I know 20.
You're in LA.
Okay, so you know 5 guys at least that have been with at least 38 partners. Go ahead.
But it depends on what state you're in.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I think city.
No, it doesn't.
Continuing.
Keep going.
10 years later, the most sexually active top 20% now report 15 lifetime sex partners, and the top 5% of men reported 50 lifetime.
So what's happened is the
sex
number of
partners.
men with no sex is increasing, and the number of men at top are getting even more sex.
Yes.
What?
Yes. From 38 to 50 in 10 years. And by the way, that's only 2002 to 2000.
You need to watch out with this misinformation that you're spreading, because it
I'm
almost sounds
sorry.
like
What
it
can
almost
I
sounds
do?
like there's
What
a
can I
crisis
do?
in dating. But watch out with that misinformation.
Yes.
Go on.
And if you'd like the links to any of these, I'm more than happy to provide them for you to give to you. But unlike some other people, the distribution of the number of sex partners among heterosexual men was skewed already, but in just 10 years, the distribution became even more skewed. During the same time, there was no such change in the number of sexual partners for heterosexual women.
Wait a second. So women are having the same number of sex partners, but there's a bunch of guys f***ing more
Right.
women. What does that indicate? What does that seem like?
Sex is
Drake?
No.
Drake? Drake?
Oh, I do not like Drake.
Big Mo, I need that sound drop.
neither.
Sex,
I like Drake.
Thank
I don't think
God
he's
there's
cute, though.
another person.
Forget whether you like Drake. Do you think Drake fucks a lot of women?
He has a child with a porn star.
Okay, my point is, men, it's going like this. It's like nothing, nothing, nothing. Average is like 5, and then once we get up here, we're going up to like what he said before, 50.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at 50. That's 10 years ago.
Yes.
Let's catch up to today. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so
I'm sure Instagram had no effect on any of this.
Right.
I'm sure Instagram didn't help a certain group of men. A ton of women. I'm sure that's not what happened.
Okay,
Let's go ahead.
Let me put the
Hey,
last.
shout out to Dan Bilzerian. I'm sure none of this affected anybody.
I will now put the final coffin nail in the coffin. Sex is concentrated within a small yet sexually active group of people. In one study, it was reported that 5% of the population with the highest number of vaginal sex acts, we're not talking about Hummers now, okay, accounted for more vaginal sex acts than the bottom 50% of the population with the lowest number of sex acts.
Guys, understand. That means the top 5% of guys were literally f***ing as much as the bottom 50%.
That's crazy.
Like all combined, that's what was happening.
I hope they're all using protection.
Does that
'cause it
sound-
sounds like a lot of STDs.
Does that sound like a
Man.
hold on? But does that sound like a normal distribution to you, or does that sound like there's a few guys getting a lot of?
Sounds
Does that sound like?
if you guys are getting a
Oh
lot of sex.
man,
Yeah.
better watch out. Sounds like a crisis. Better stop giving this information, bro.
Yeah,
God.
yeah, and again, I'll be happy to supply the links to all of these because people think we don't have them. Okay, now this is from Rob Henderson. This is from a New York Times. This is a different study. More than a quarter. This is the modern one. More than a quarter of Americans hadn't had sex even once in the past year. That figure includes, and by the way, this is not 2020. This is from February of this year. That figure includes almost 30% of men under 30, a figure that has tripled since 2008. In the 1990s, half of Americans were having sex weekly or more. That figure is now under 40%.
What about women? Because when's the last time everybody here has had sex?
We can go around the table
With
now,
myself?
if you'd like.
Does that count?
Because then we
Did you get paid for it? That's what. Then it counts. Then it
As
counts.
soon as Cindy left my apartment last night, the millisecond Cindy left my apartment last night, magically sex happened. I don't know what happened.
I said, bye, guys, and they ran away.
Okay. Oh, this